if your path has changed or if your prayers were answered in a way that feels more like breaking than building, that I just want you to know that, like, you're not lost. Like, you are led by Jesus Christ.
Hello, and welcome to Returning Stronger Stories. Today, we are so lucky to be joined by Andi. Andi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys. I'm so excited.
Awesome. And this one's a particularly fun one because I actually personally knew Andi in the MTC when I was serving my mission. So it's going to be a great time today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right. Well, first to start off, I'd just like you to briefly tell us about your story, Andi, kind of where you served, and kind of what constituted you having to come home early.
Yeah, so I started my mission papers. I kind of started having some knee problems, but I thought, whatever, it's fine. So I sent in my mission papers, I submitted them, and I was called to serve in Argentina, the Buenos Aires North Mission. And so I was there for some time, the Mexico MTC, we met there. And it was a walking mission, and so my knees just were not holding up. I had tried to go to some doctors in Argentina, go to some physical therapy. Nothing was really working. And so eventually my mission president had set me down and told me I would be going home for my knee problems to kind of figure out what's going on and then hopefully return back to Argentina after I had figured out my knee problems. So I was sent home for knee problems, and that was, let's see, I think that was in November of 2024. So I only served for about 3 months total. So half in the MTC, half in the field. And yeah. And so I was just at home for some knee problems, some knee pain, chronic knee pain at 19 years old. So yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a chance to go back out to the field?
So, no. So once I came home, I transferred over to being a service missionary while we tried to figure out what was kind of going on. And at that point, I had started a medication as well. It was a medication it was like a 3-in-1. So it was like joint pain, anxiety, and depression. Because I was experiencing some anxiety and depression when I had returned home. And at that point, once I had started that medication, I was told that I was not able to go back out on my mission. And also, while I was at home trying to figure out my knee problems, nobody could figure them out. So it was kind of a mix of, since you're still having knee problems and on this medication, we are unable to send you back out to Argentina. So I finished up my time as a service missionary and I loved it.
Yeah, and your story is very similar to mine in that same regard. I was in Rosario, so I was just a little bit north of you, but
Yes.
um, I left, I think it was like in December, so only like a couple weeks, maybe a month after you, but
Mhm.
I also finished off as a service missionary. So I was wondering if you could actually tell us a little bit about that. How was your service mission experience?
Yeah, no, it was great. Well, when I came home, I like immediately met with my stake president because my mission president and stake president had been kind of talking in like the later stages of my mission in Argentina, and so they were kind of trying to like make a plan so that I wouldn't, I guess, lose time on my mission. I don't know if that's correct terminology, but um so I met with my stake president and he said, we have some great service mission leaders. It's a senior couple. Um, and we can start you off as a service missionary almost immediately. And so he kind of explained to me what that kind of looks like. And so he had the service mission leaders come over to I guess that meeting. I don't know if meeting, I guess. We kind of all talked about my interests, my hobbies, things like that, to kind of find what service sites that I could enjoy and serve at. They had a huge long list. So I served my service mission was technically in the Utah Saratoga Springs mission. Um, so they just had a huge long list, even longer than the papers that they gave me of possible service sites. So from there, I kind of chose a couple that sounded interesting to me, and then I went with my service mission leaders to go tour a couple of them, and then from there I started at some service sites. So a couple of them that I had, one was at this place called New Hope Academy. It was kind of like an alternative to like normal school for kids with like disabilities or behavioral issues and things like that, and also kids who had like experienced trauma in their life and things like that. So I would help there, and basically what I was doing there, I was kind of like a tutor, I guess. So I would help them with their math or their science and things like that, but I would also play pickleball with them, play ping pong with them, just make really good connections with the students. So that was one of my first service sites. And in a service mission, you have the opportunity to like change around service sites and go and serve at a lot of different places. So that was the first one that I did though, and I loved it. It was so fun. I also helped serve at a seminary. Basically what I was doing there, after seminary, I would have like a Book of Mormon club, I guess it was called, where I would help the students make up some of their attendance or whatever, but as a Book of Mormon club instead of like, I don't know what they do for seminary, but like, anyway, so I helped lead that. Let's see, I'm trying to think. So those were some of the early ones. And then yeah, just things like that where I would help at a senior home where I would like sing songs for the seniors and play games with them and just make connections. It was so fun to make connections in a way that didn't look like teaching, but it was more of just serving and loving. I mean, you do that in a teaching mission as well, but it was fun to see kind of the difference of just teaching and loving and then just serving and loving. Like I was not teaching at all, but I was just making connections like Jesus does. So that was super fun. I'm trying to think. I also had the opportunity to help with the development of the new hymn book for the church. So I would go up to the church office building, and I would help with, like, we would listen to all the songs, all the new songs coming in, and we would kind of determine the tempo for each song, which was really, really cool. And it was cool to see that there was a purpose for each of the songs that are in the new hymn book. And so anyway, we would record the songs for the first presidency, and then they would kind of give us pointers of changing the lyrics or things like that to make it more fit for the new hymn book. So that was super cool. Another similarity though of my service mission and my teaching mission is that we had district councils and things like that. So I think it was every Monday for us, we would get together as a district. We were in districts, we were in companionships. We would get together as a district and kind of do all that stuff. It wasn't like teaching. We didn't go over our numbers or anything like a teaching mission would do, but we would have like devotionals and lessons and trainings. And so that was super fun. Another thing with service missions, at least in my mission, we had the opportunity to do zone conferences a lot. So there were a ton of similarities between my teaching mission and my service mission that kind of, I think, helped me transition to a service mission.
I love that. One thing I think I've found is that service missions really are the missions of connection. I feel like teaching missions, obviously, you do really connect with the people, but you're also there to teach. But service, you're there to love unconditionally and just see people for who they are. So I really love the similarities you drew from that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, you kind of touched base on a lot of this stuff already, a lot of meaningful experiences you had. Was there like one experience that like stood out to you that was like a meaningful experience, whether in the field or in your service mission that you'd like to share?
Yeah, a couple actually, but I think the main one that I can think of, or at least the most meaningful to me or spiritual to me, was coming home from my mission early. And, that's always like a very hard thing and very hard to kind of trust the Lord and kind of his plan for you. At least for me, that was very challenging. I was so willing to go serve and teach, and then it just kind of all just changed super abruptly. So I was really struggling when I came home from my mission in November. Then I think it was around I think it was December. I think it was Christmas time where I was living at home obviously because I was doing my service mission. And I remember sitting at church with my like in my home ward just like super down on myself. Just I don't know. Like I was just really, really struggling that day, especially. But that Christmas, it was Christmas Eve or something. I don't know. The Christmas sacrament meeting that we did, my ward always does like a bunch of musical numbers. And music is one way that I can feel the spirit so strong. And so the ward choir was singing a song. I honestly can't even tell you the song anymore. I think it was Oh, Come All You Faithful, maybe. I don't know. But they were singing the song, and the last verse was just like the most powerful. I'm literally getting chills right now, but it was just the most powerful thing. And I could just feel like a weight being lifted off my shoulders. And like, I just knew that God was real and that He knew me exactly, like, and exactly and perfectly. Like, I don't know why that Sunday in particular, but I think ever since that day, I just loved my service mission. Like, I think He just helped me realize that I was home for a reason. Like, whether I needed to, like, meet someone in particular or serve at a certain site, I just felt like this overwhelming joy and like love from him that he knew my plan and he knew like how I was feeling and how to help me. And it was amazing. And it was just from that moment on, like I just remember like bawling in church, like because I just felt the spirit so strong that he knew me and it was amazing. So ever since then, like I really learned how to rely on him and how to have him help me and ask for help from him. And so, yeah, that was probably the most meaningful experience from my coming home was that.
I love that. Wow, you're giving me chills.
I know.
That's so beautiful. That's a beautiful testimony. I love that God spoke to you through music and helped you to realize that He had a plan for you and you're exactly where you need to be. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. Was there anything that was particularly hard about coming home and what helped you get through it?
Yeah, yeah. So I think for me, what was the most hard for me coming home was just that I had served for such a short amount of time. I think for me, I just felt like when I was coming home, that if I didn't go back out, I didn't deserve the title of returned missionary, Like I just felt like I just was so discouraged that I had to come home so soon after leaving. And I think also what was really hard for me was seeing everyone that I had gone out with to my mission was all still there and like thriving and doing an amazing job. I just think that was probably the hardest for me. But I think what helped like get over that or like kind of change my mindset was just like losing myself in like serving others. I really think that was such a good thing for me to do. I think if I didn't do my service mission that I think I would still be super discouraged and sad about coming home early, but I think the service mission was such a great opportunity to just keep serving the Lord because I was willing and able and so I just think that was super helpful and I think it helped me realize that here I have my two. I think what was really hard for me was having something under my name also was like service missionary instead of just like my normal tag. I think that was super hard because people are kind of like, are you in home MTC? Like there's a missionary here, like she's wearing a tag, but like what's kind of the deal, and then they would see the service missionary, and I think that was kind of not like embarrassing for me but just like like you would get stares and you would get people like just really wondering what's going on. um, but I think what helped me with that part of things was like I realized that through the missionary purposes there's two different purposes for a teaching mission and a service missionary. I love the purpose of a service missionary, but I think what helped me was just to realize that the tag that I wore at home wasn't lesser. Like it wasn't a fallback. It wasn't lesser. It was like a continuation of my mission experience. Um, like I was still part of the work, even if it looked different than before. I think also just having like a really supportive ward at home was really was really nice and really helped me. They would include me in like lessons and testimony meetings and things like that to tell my story, and I loved it, and I think that really helped as well.
Love that. Almost makes me think we should have like another label for proselyte missionaries, like proselyte missionary under the name
Yeah,
tag.
no, that's so true.
But what I do love is even though the tags they're slightly different with that little like service missionary quote underneath, the biggest thing that's on the tag is always Jesus Christ, because
Yeah,
regardless of the type of mission you're serving, Jesus Christ is the focus and you're still serving him, and that doesn't change.
yeah,
I love that.
exactly.
Thank you for sharing. You touched base a little bit on what did help, which I loved. Was there anything that kind of didn't help when you were coming home, or anything you wish would have been a little different in your journey?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like most of it was pretty good.
That's
I
good.
think just like I mentioned, just like the stairs and kind of like, ooh, why is she home? Like, kind of sort of that vibe wasn't super helpful because it's like, I mean, I think before my service mission, I think I would have done the same, which is terrible to say, but I think, I think it's such like a stigma around like people coming home from their missions early, that I don't think needs to be there. Like, even if there were worthiness issues, even if there were mental health issues and they don't continue on with the service mission, I don't think that matters. Like before my mission, I think I would have maybe thought the same, but I think serving this service mission really changed my perspective on that. But I think something that I wish was maybe slightly different was, I think just what kind of got me down was coming home from my mission early and not knowing if I was going back out or not. And so, this is such a little thing, but just like not having my whole family there at the airport to welcome me home. Not that I expected that, but kind of just, I think that would have really helped. Like it was just my mom and my grandparents, which is fine. Like it was great to see them, but I think that really downplayed, like me coming home. And at that point, like we also didn't know if I was going back out or not, so it was just kind of low key. But I think just everyone deserves a huge welcome home. Like no matter what, they went out, they tried, and if something didn't work out, to just be welcomed home, I think is really helpful. And so I think that's something that I wish was maybe slightly different. But other than that, like I think everything was great, and like most everyone was super supportive. But yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I've heard that a lot from early return missionaries that the welcome home from the airport is always kind of awkward. It feels like you're almost kind of being hidden away, whether that's your family's intention or not, or maybe you wanted it to be that way. It's always hard because I think we always kind of envision this grand welcome home when we finish our mission that we kind of see on Instagram and stuff, but
Mhm.
not having that or having that be different or more quiet or shameful can kind of really solidify the nail in the coffin, which can be difficult. I
Yeah.
love, thank you for sharing that. Do you have any advice as we're finishing up for early return missionaries who may be seeing this, maybe going through the same thing? Anything that you could think of you wish you would have known, or anything that could help them out?
Yeah, I think my best advice would be like be patient with yourself and learn to rely on the Lord. I think just that is so huge to me. I think I kind of forget sometimes that the atonement was for our sadnesses too. Like I think before my mission I always just thought of it as like our sins and our, things like that. But I think to remember that he knows how we feel, like when we're sad too. Like not just when we're like in sin or things like that. It's when we are sad, like when we're going through a lot, like just learning to rely on him because he really does know how you're feeling. Because for me, I'm like, I know that most people don't know how I'm feeling. Because honestly, I feel like I was maybe like one of the first to come home and transfer to be a service missionary in my ward. And so I think for me, that was not hard, but just like I got down on myself thinking that nobody knew how I felt. But then I think learning to rely on him and knowing that he knew how I felt, and then also just like talking with my other service missionary friends who are some of my lifelong friends now, just that like I'm not alone and that he really does know how we all feel, and everyone's experience is different. It really is hard to like envision something in your mind and want to go with that plan, but it really is best to just go with his plan. And then I think also not downplaying that you came home early or just like feeling like you didn't serve a full-time mission. I think people have asked me if I'm like sad I didn't get to serve a full-time mission. And I kind of gently remind them that I did. Like this, it was my mission. It was my full-time mission, and that's what he called me to do. Like it might look different, and I don't know why I came home early. Maybe I never will. Like, I mean, knee problems, but maybe there's a bigger thing there that I needed to come home for, and maybe I never will. Maybe it was just a test of my faith, which is very possible. But I think just remembering all of that it is a full-time mission when you come home early. Whether you served 3 months, whether you served 18 months, whether you served 9 months or a week, like it is a full-time mission. You were a full-time missionary for however long you were serving. And I think that's really helpful to remember. And I think also remembering like that even if you come home early, that you, at least I didn't come home empty-handed. I came home with a deeper testimony. I came home with a real relationship with Jesus Christ. Like I came to know that he's the comforter, that he's real, and that he walks with us and he's with us like every step of the way. So I think that's good to remember. I think also just remember that if your path has changed or if your prayers were answered in a way that feels more like breaking than building, that I just want you to know that like you're not lost. Like you are led by Jesus Christ and Heavenly Father. And so whatever your mission looks like, even if it's not a full-time mission, even if it's, like moving away from college or things like that, like I believe that is a type of mission. Maybe it's not like a full-time proselyting mission, but um I just hope that you'll remember that God is in like all of that, just everything. Like he knows your path, he knows you, and so when you're still and you trust him, like you will see his hand guiding you, even if the path is different than you expect. So yeah, I think that's just what I would say to someone coming home early from their mission.
Yeah, wow, that was all such beautiful advice. And I really felt the spirit during that. Thank you. I just want to thank you again for coming on today and joining us, Andy. You were such an amazing missionary in the MTC when I knew you, and I could see it that you're still an amazing missionary now, even with the tag off. So thank you so much.
Thank you.